The mid-morning sunlight floods a humble, handmade bedroom. Weathered pine beams support a thatched roof overhead, adorned with bundles of wildflowers that hang, filling the air with a faint, earthly aroma. It is summer, and the cool breeze streaming in from the open window gently winds its way between the hand-carved beds, chairs, and cabinets that fill the room of this quaint little home at the side of a small lake nestled away at the edge of a forest. And in the far corner of this bedroom, a girl, barely 13 years of age, busses over herself in a hazy mirror. Kaylee, would you describe your character?
Vianne is upset. Every single dress that she has tried on this morning, every single face that she has tried on this morning, every single iteration of a different flirty giggle has devolved into a mess. This girl is so close to being on the edge of something that could be vivacious and captivating and charming. But right now, Vianne feels like a bundle of fur. Just all ears, oversized for her head, all tail forever picking up dirt and leaves. The fur features that she has inherited from her father, of course, are always subject to intense self-criticism, but never quite so much as this morning, because yesterday, Mateo asked her on a date. And tonight, she is hopeful that all of her dreams will come true if she could just get her face right. Her hair is wrong, her smile is wrong, everything is such a frustration that she slumps over before the mirror in her very humble room with a sigh that would be well suited to the Grand Opera of Portugal.
As she slumps in defeat, we see a crude wooden vase with fresh flowers sitting between the beds. Her mother always keeps blooms in the house. Vianne pulls out a tiny daisy and tucks it into her hair, just below her very large fox ear. Among the curls of her auburn hair and shiny fur, she hears a cry from downstairs. I got you.
Mama. Well, if I'm having a bad morning, Mama's having a terrible one. And Vianne keeps the daisy tucked behind her ear and bounds down the stairs to the kitchen.
As she rounds the corner, in the kitchen is a figure she knows and loves quite a bit. Dressed in modest but finely taken care of fabrics. Her mother wears a light blue and white dress that has been kept immaculate over the years. Her auburn hair curled up into a bun as she leans over a hot stove, sniffs it, makes a face, and says, I don't know how many times I have told your father I cannot cook pasta with buckwheat. It does not have the same texture.
Vianne approaches from behind her mother, somewhat quietly, and she leans her head over the pot of boiling pasta, looks up towards her mother, and says, "Ay, Mama, it's a fine dish for the hag bitch."
You have a mouth on you, girl. You have a mouth on you.
Where do you think I learned it from,
Yes,
Mama?
yes. See. You get it from me. Yes, I understand. Yes.
It's a fine sacrifice for her. She will make sure that our crops grow full of whatever this came from. What have you done to it, Mama?
yes. Rabbit, and you'll be eating it later tonight, yes?
I hope so, but, maybe not? Maybe I go out for dinner tonight?
You go out for dinner. Where?
Where
could you possibly go?
No particular place. I simply wish to not eat this pile of katsa which you have prepared for Papa and I. Hmm?
She places her fists around her hips, cocks her head to the side, and takes a good hard look at Vianne, this little 13-year-old ball of energy. And she just shakes her head slowly and says, Which boy? Which boy is it? I will kill him.
There's no boy.
Which boy is it?
Why does there have to be a boy?
No. No, the
Please,
fisherman boy.
Mama.
No.
Please.
I don't understand. What do you see in him?
him?
He is 100 pounds soaking wet. I don't understand what you see in him.
It's not about how big you are, it's how you use it.
He doesn't use it either.
Please.
I don't understand.
Mama, but okay, you mustn't tell Papa.
Amore mio. Amore mio. Listen to me. Listen to me. Your mother understands that you are in a small village and that there are not that many fish in the sea here because you are in a village and it's more like a lake. I understand. Yes, see. I understand. But please, Stormhag is my weakness. Do not give that boy what he wants. He is trouble. Please. Please. Amore
Like
mio.
as if I am not, Mama. I have learned from the best. Please.
Okay. Listen, I will tell you this now. You take this with you in life, no matter where you go. You never, ever give anyone, boy or girl, everything they want. You always be careful, and you play it well, and you make them dance to your tune. Do you understand?
You make them dance. Yes, Mama.
Okay. And she reaches behind her auburn hair, and she wiggles it a little bit, pulls out a hair comb. It is a beautiful, beautiful piece made of tortoiseshell inlaid with mother of pearl. She has told you countless stories of where she gets her fine things from her home country of Savona, far, far away from the shores of Lake Adele, where she has resided your entire life. And she hands it over to you and says, This is from my grandmama. It is precious to me, and today it is yours. And she reaches her hands towards Vianne's head. Turn around. Make this easier for me.
Okay. Mama.
She turns her around and pulls up her hair, taking the greatest care to make sure every piece is in place. And she says, when I was your age, I had at least 3 boys who wanted my heart.
You did not.
I did, and I said no to all of them.
Wait, so tell me again, Mama. How did Papa win your heart?
She pauses for a moment, and you can't see her expression, but Vianne can picture her mother's face clearly as she hears a smile form on her lips. Your papa was the sweetest man to shelter us and the Giancarlo family when we were washed up ashore here. They took us in, and as you know, many in this village did not want humans to be here. But your father, your papa, he had nothing but kindness in his heart. Kind words, a smile, his smile. And he offered shelter. He offered his ear, his very, very, very fine fox ears.
Mama.
And he listened to all of our struggles. And he told us that we could stay here and be part of a familia again. And it was in that moment that I knew that I wanted him to raise my child. But enough of that, your hair is done. Okay? Now, I told your father, and the moment she mentions your father, you hear footsteps outside your door, And bursting into your home, you see first your father, a man in finely dressed clothes for this area, well-pleated trousers, a fine vest, a clean white shirt. Walk into your home. His hair is jet black, and his ears proportionally are just as big as Vianne's, but they have little white tips at the end. And he is followed by his brother, your uncle. Stark, replicated image of his brother. And the two of them enter, and without acknowledging either of you, continue their conversation. Your father turns and speaks to his brother. We've talked about this before, Wilhelm. Just because the human boys are young doesn't mean we can't trust them. I can teach them how to trade safely and follow the fox paths back so that no one ever finds out where we are. You just have to trust me. His brother, his face with a bit of a scowl, says, no, you know that I don't trust them. And it's not their youth, it's the fact that we are perfectly safe with you as the sole person coming in and out of the village, making sure no one ever follows us. It's not that I don't trust them, Jacob. It's that I only trust you for this. This is a mistake. And I know that you love the humans, I know. But we have existed in safety for decades because we have only ever allowed one person in and out to get supplies from outside the village, and we will not be changing that anytime soon. Your father turns and looks at Vianne, smiles, he winks, turns back to his brother and says, well, Wilhelm, it's a good thing you're not the alderman then, because I am. Wilhelm scoffs, and he sits down at the table in quiet contemplation. Jacob looks over at Vianne and says, my, we're all dressed up fine today. And to what do I owe this magnificent pleasure, my princess?
Of course I have dressed up for you, Papa. It's to take your mind off of the disaster of dinner that Mother is preparing right now.
Oh, a disaster, you say? Is that true, my love? Don't listen to her.
She says it's rabbit, but, And Vianne looks over.
Not a word from you. No. And your father looks at you and says, well, whoever this fine lad is, and he winks again, I hope the two of you have fun, but not too much fun. And what is it that your mother always says? Don't let a boy have everything he asks for. Is that right, sweetheart? Yes, I told her already, yes.
Vianne sees clearly in this moment that she has been outwitted by both her mother and her father, immediately seeing through her. But the story that they tell is her first lullaby. The story of their love coming together, of rescuing the Giancarlos from death, of creating a new family on the shores of Lake Adele. This is her fairy tale. And even though she rolls her eyes at their public displays of adoration for each other, she wants nothing more than a piece of that for herself. So she goes over to her father, models the hair, does a little twirl for him, shows off the beautiful curls, the way that the updo frames her face, and kisses him on the cheek.
Yes, that's my princess. Now go, be off. You should not be in the house for too long. You have people to talk to, games to play. Go, off with you, and be careful.
Gorgeous Papa, I love you. I will see you tonight.
Yes, I love you too, Pumpkin. And he kisses you on the forehead. Wilhelm stands up from behind you and says, actually, before you go off, Vianne, I have a little request.
What kind of little request, Uncle Wilhelm? I have a schedule today of my own.
Yes, well, you see, we need a bit of help with the inventory for the fish coming in today.
No.
Yes.
No, Mama, no, don't let this happen to me. Not today.
You should ask your father.
Papa, not the fish. Please, please. I can't do the fish today.
Just a few hours, and look at it this way. perhaps you'll see the boy on his way back in all of his 100-pound soaking wet glory. Perhaps you'll see him and be able to smile and say hi.
You and Mama and everyone else in this village does not see the potential in Matteo. Just you wait. When I have crowned him my prince, you will all be coming back to me. Fine, Uncle Wilhelm, your fish.
Your uncle leads you out your front door, and you see rolling fields of crops. Wheat, buckwheat, and a variety of vegetables. This village here on the edge of Lake Adele is self-sufficient and well nestled and hidden away from the prying eyes of the Frostguard, from the prying eyes of La Société de la Pâte Rouge. You lead an isolated and happy existence here, and the adults in this village have tried very hard to keep it that way. You make your way through the village, modest but well-kept homes, and you come across the shore of the lake with a pier leading out. And from a distance, you can see the fishing boats that go out every single morning, out on the lake, hard at work, as your uncle leads you into the storehouse next to the lake, hands you a clipboard, and says, "Well, my dear, you're better at arithmetic than I am, and frankly, better at arithmetic than most of the humans here, so you will be helping me count the stores we have for this month. It's very important that we keep it all correct so that your father knows exactly how much he can take." Makes sense, right?
Yes, Uncle Wilhelm. Vianne grabs the pen.
Remember, the more accurate this is, the more fine hair combs and jewelry and makeup you can bring back for you and your mother. Think of it that way. Motivation, yes?
She scoffs at her uncle, at the insinuation that sheer vanity is the only thing that motivates her. I also do it so that Matteo and I can have a nicer date.
Well, you better get to it then, because I haven't counted any of these. Good luck, goodbye.
Oh!
And he walks out the door.
Basta! Fine. In truth, Vianne adores her uncle, and this game that they play of constant subjugation under chores that are in fact her daily existence is the most precious, beautiful thing. This is the routine. And pulling her from the charmed life of feigned luxury that she pretends to have and into a task, into something engrossing and detail-oriented, she finds herself quickly enamored with it and losing the hours as she counts not only the fish but the root vegetables, also making projections against future harvests.
The hours pass by. In her efficiency, Vianne finishes just before sunset, and she walks out of the storeroom, finds a collection of the other children in the village, a mix of foxkin like her, big ears, fluffy tails, as well as humans, all her age, as they run around the shore of Lake Adele until the sun sets. From his home, he spots Matteo, the sweet boy that she has had the biggest crush on for goodness knows how long. And he is dressed in a clean white shirt and simple trousers. He smiles and walks over to her. Ready for our date?
Good evening, Matteo. You look very nice tonight.
So do you. And he says this as he sort of takes his hand and very purposefully and poorly combs his hand through his hair while turning his head to reveal his human ear, just sort of waving it off as if he was trying to get something out of his hair when there clearly wasn't anything at all in his hair.
Whatever that gesture was has exactly the intended effect. Vianne begins to swoon, completely at a loss for words. This absolutely stick-thin, skinny twig of a boy, burnt by the sun, and with a terrible, terrible notion of his own charm. but she asks, "What are our plans for tonight, Mateo?"
Well, if you can keep a secret, I found something.
I can keep your secret, Mateo.
All right, you cannot tell your father and you cannot tell your uncle that I have found something that you have to see. Except it's not by the lake. It's on the other side by the shore of the bay.
What?
I know, we're not supposed to go there, but it's amazing. You have to come with me. I promise it will be worth it.
Vianne nervously tucks a curl of hair behind her large ears. In this moment, the excitement, the adrenaline of her desire, the terror of doing something wrong. I don't think she's ever done anything wrong before in her life. And why not? Why not do the first wrong thing with this bad boy? Oh my god, yes. She stifles a scream and sachets a little bit ahead of him, twirling her skirts, and she says, "Well, I know the way to the ocean. You can follow me."
Lead the way. And the two of you set off. Just as the sun begins to set and the brilliant rays of light start turning into these muted shades of orange, as the light streams through the forest and the two of you walk paths that you are aware of but have always been told your entire lives not to walk on and not to traverse. As you do so, you hold hands, and for a while, he's all smiles. You continue walking farther than you thought you would have to, and it begins to get dark. Very dark. You can no longer see the lights of the village. The only thing lighting the way now is the faint moonlight. Suddenly, Mateo stops speaking and walks faster and takes the lead.
Mateo, hey, what's going on? That's, ow. Mateo, that hurts a little bit. Don't pull. My tail is... slow down.
Mateo doesn't look back at Vianne and instead looks forward and continues his stride and says, "We're almost there. Just a little more."
You know, Mateo, I just remembered that I told my mama that I would be home for dinner, and now it's after sunset. Maybe we do this again tomorrow, okay?
He stops and turns to look at you, and the face that you see is not one that you recognize. It's a darker look, and the joy that was on his face before, the joy that you've seen on Mateo's face before, is no longer present. And he says, "My dear, didn't you wish to go on a date with me? Are you not enjoying your date?"
No, of course, I understand. It's romantic in the moonlight. Going to see the ocean. And she trails off, and she feels a memory without words. And she knows that maybe she shouldn't give him what he wants. But after all, this is what she wants too. This is all she wants. So she giggles and repositions her hand. He had taken her by her wrist, and it was a little hard. So she straightens up. She says, of course, Mateo. Well, go see the ocean."
He is still expressionless, and he simply nods and turns around and continues at the same pace. The two of you walk without a word between you for what seems like at least 15, 20, 25 minutes until you approach a hill. And as you crest the top of this hill, you reach a clearing. And past this clearing, Vianne can see into the Royal Bay. And past that, the Formido Ocean, which her mother and father have spoken about, but she has never been able to go see herself. The vastness of the waters is something that no one could have ever prepared her for. It stretches on farther than her eyes can see.
Oh, Matteo, it's beautiful. And it is the most beautiful thing she's ever seen. She forgets dinner plans. She forgets the way he dragged her through the woods. She forgets the snag in her skirt and the loose curl of hair that's fallen from the comb. She sees the ocean for the first time with her own eyes. And she wants to see it reflected in the eyes of her beloved. So she looks at him.
He looks back at her and takes several steps backwards. And he looks her in the eyes. For what it's worth, I'm sorry about this. Two figures emerge from the trees and grab Vianne by the arms and drag her into the clearing.
No!
The two men are massive, and they are, most concerningly for Vianne, human. She does not recognize these men, but as they drag her into the clearing, she can see at the edge of the bay is a ship. And this ship is bigger than any ship she has ever seen. She has only ever known rowboats and fishing boats her entire life, and these things are massive. They could house hundreds of men, and she has never seen these other than the descriptions that her mother gave her of her own people sailing across the seas. And before she can form a thought, the men push her down onto the dirt, her face hitting grass and rocks as they twist her arm behind her and begin to tie her up.
Matteo! Oh, basta! Let go of me, you bastardi! Matteo, what's going on? What is this?
As Vianne tries to struggle, she is absolutely overpowered as the men tie her arms together. And as she struggles, she can feel the comb that her mother put in her hair fall out and drop onto the dirt somewhere behind her head. As she hears Matteo speaking to a third man who has appeared from the woods, dressed in a raggedy coat, stained and torn, as he says to him, "I had a deal. I give you a rare single fox girl, ready to be sold, and you give me safe passage to Port de Glace. We had a deal." The man responds, "All right, hold up. We have to inspect the goods first.
What?
How do we know that she's authentic and a legitimate foxkin girl? All right, we've got to inspect her. You understand that, right?" As he says this, he looks at Vianne with a look that Vianne has never seen on the face of a man, as he grins a nefarious, lecherous, evil smile, and his eyes seem to water at the sight of her face with the makeup on it. And the men who are holding her down laugh with him and say, "Oh, you think we can catch a good price for her? Can we have some fun with her first?" And they laugh, and they laugh, and the man approaches you.
You don't touch me. Vianne's face is pressed against the rock. She feels the gravel mixing with the tears pouring out of her eyes, but she spits in his direction. "You don't touch me, bastardo! Do you know who I am? Do you know who my mother and father are? They will kill you! Don't touch me!"
Well, you got a face to one. Oh, I like her. We'll have fun breaking her in. As the man approaches you and lifts you easily with one arm up from the dirt and pulls your hair back painfully, takes his hand and he puts it into your mouth. He tries to look at your teeth. Oh, she's perfect, this one. Oh, we'll catch a good price for her.
She bites his fucking hand.
She attempts to, but he pulls it away just in time, and he laughs in her face as Mateo turns away from her and just stands with his back towards her.
Mateo, you tell these men who I am. You tell them who we are. What is going on here?
He tilts his head a little bit, but not enough to turn around and look Vianne in the eyes, and he says, "We had a deal. Hurry up." In this moment, Vianne feels alone.
Mateo turns from her. He turns away. She can't see the ocean. Oh, they're holding her, but she can feel its infinitude. The endless crashing of waves on shore, like breaths. And in this moment where she holds the tears, she holds the curses, her sobs inside her breath, she feels the ocean, breathing impassively. The universe doesn't care about her, and there is no one that can hear her scream. She realizes now, this is beyond her power. This is beyond anyone's power. Even her brave father would not save her now. And she wails.
As she sobs uncontrollably, she hears a voice, clear as day, in her mind, and in an instant time stops. My, little kid, what a terrible situation you have got yourself into. Whatever are we to do?
Please, make them let me go. Please.
Oh, little kid, you poor thing, you're so scared. I could do something about that if you'd like.
Get them off of me. Please help me.
I can't do anything, but I can give you the ability to free yourself. Tell me, little kid, do you wish to live free?
Yes, please.
Do you wish to live deliciously?
Yes. Help me. Or do something.
Lovely. The pact is sealed. Little kid, I want you to picture for me a hand, not your own, but a hand behind you, undoing the binds that tie you down. Can you do that for me, little kid?
Vianne grows quiet. She closes her eyes tightly. She grits her teeth. And in her mind, she tries to picture herself lying here on the rocky, dusty crop of cliff here, seeing herself bound in ropes. And she pictures a hand, one with long, sharp claws that are delicate enough to be able to wiggle into the bindings of the rope and slip it free.
She feels the binds drop towards her feet as the man takes several steps forward, completely unaware. He is about 5 feet away from her when time stops again. Now, little kid, why don't you show him exactly what you think his face should look like? The word is exshindo. Use it well, little kid. Show me what you can do.
Vianne gets onto her hands and knees. There's a pool of salt water where her tears were mixing with the dirt into mud. They did this to her. They did this to her. She feels this rage building up within her, and the man still looking away, still laughing about the prize that they won, about the price that they would set for her. She reaches towards him, stretches her hand, and says the words. Shindo, you son of a bitch.
As the words leave her lips, she can feel and see a warp of the air around her right hand, her claws on her finger extending involuntarily as an unseen force shoots out from her palm, and in an instant we see the man's jaw dislocate and snap underneath his skin, and he holds his skin together and he screams, and the 2 men beside her immediately fall backwards and curse under their breath as she holds her hand out, her eyes in awe at what she has done. And the voice rings out in her head once more. Run, little kids, run. As she hears these words, her eyes fall onto her mother's comb on the ground. As the voice says again, run.
She wants to reach for it, but the voice insists she run. And so she does. She runs in anguish, she runs in fury, she runs in terror, she runs in heartbreak. Oh, gods, Mateo, what has he done? And she's crying, she's screaming, she's barreling through the woods without a thought for the fox paths, the delicate, safe tread that connects the village to the outside world. She blows through it, sobbing.
As she runs, she swears she can hear a faint laugh of the voice inside her head the whole way. She eventually reaches the edge of the village. She can see that the people have begun to go into their homes and end their day. She runs up to her home and she approaches the front door.
Vianne collapses near the flower beds. She looks at the bush of daisies that she plucked this morning from her mother's arrangement, and she sobs. She cries out for her mother. Mama, Mama, please help me.
The door opens quickly. You see your mother, Susanna, look around, spot you on the floor. Her eyes go wide and her jaw drops and says, No, what? Amore mio, what happened? She takes you up into her arms, she hugs you first, and then she pulls you away and she clasps your head in her hands and she looks at your face and she turns to you. No, what happened to your face? What happened?
Don't tell Uncle Wilhelm, Mama.
Tell me what?
No!
And from behind her, both your father and his brother appear at the door, and they panic and rush forward and look you over. Gods, what on earth happened? Pumpkin, what happened to you? What happened?
No. Please don't hurt him.
Hurt who? Who? And at this moment, Wilhelm takes a moment and and his face contorts. And he looks at Vianne and says, "The human boy, Matteo."
No, he didn't know what he was doing. It wasn't him, Mama. It wasn't him that hurt me. It was the other man.
Your mother is silent and shocked, and your father takes you in his arms and says, "Listen to me very closely, Vianne. You have to tell us the truth. What men? Who are you talking about?" Pumpkin, this is very important. You have to tell the truth. Are there people here that we don't know?
He said he was going to break me in before they got a good price.
Your father's face falls, and you see his heart break in front of your eyes. As you look over to your Uncle Wilhelm, and his rage is seething, and he grabs Jacob by the shoulder and says, "I knew it. I warned you about these humans." And he turns to look at your mother. "I warned you this would happen, and we have to act now." Your father turns to him and says, No, Wilhelm. I'm sure there's a perfectly good explanation for this. We can handle this. We can take it. We can hunt them down and find them. And no, this ends now. That boy was not alone.
I'm sure it was a mistake, Matteo. Matteo didn't know what he was doing.
The mistake was letting in the human 14 years ago. And we correct this today. No, Wilhelm, your father, tries to grab his brother's arm, but he shakes it off, and he charges his way down into the village, knocking on doors as he goes. Susanna looks at you and says, Listen to me, whatever happens. Stay in the house, and you don't make a noise until we come and get you. Do you understand?
No, Mama, I stay with you.
Jacob, what is your brother going to do? And your father looks at her, and he looks at you, his mind racing, and he says, stay here, I'll go talk to him. And he runs into the village center. The two of you look at each other, your mother trying to wipe away the scratch marks on your face, and she begins to cry and says, I love you no matter what, I love you. You can see and hear the shouting and the movement from the village center. Your mother looks and gets worried and grabs your hand and leads you down. When you get there, you see all the Foxkin in your village have armed themselves with rifles and have gathered the Giancarlos, the human family, the human clan that has been residing here in your village, your friends, the young children that you were playing with, huddled together in the center as the armed Foxkin surround them.
No. Uncle William, no. This is my familia. Uncle William, please, no. My mother and my father. Don't let them go. It was just a mistake.
Jacob goes to his brother and says, You can't do this. This is wrong, Wilhelm. You are overreacting. This is not right, and you know it. Wilhelm takes the rifle in his hand, and with the butt of the rifle, he hits your father hard. And your father falls to the ground, blood coming out of his mouth. No, I've listened to you long enough, and you will be the ruin and the death of us all. I have gathered all of you here, Giancarlos, humans, to know which one of you tried to sell my niece into slavery. I know it was you. I know it's all of you. Which one was it? Which one? And as he screams, the crowd recoils, and you can see a young human man, one of the older boys that you know, step up and say, We don't know what you're talking about. It was none of us. We don't know what's going on. If there are strangers, there are sure. And as he tries to make this comment, Wilhelm takes the butt of the rifle and hits him across the temple, just like he did with your father. He falls to the ground, and the rest of the humans surge forward to the boy. You don't know who it was, but you hear a gunshot, followed by another and another, and screams fill the air. Chaos ensues as everyone runs around, people tackling each other, people that you knew and grew up with and loved, and blood begins to splatter across this village square as screams cry out. You hear your mother screaming, but you cannot find her. You cannot see her. You have lost her in the chaos. The voice in your head speaks once more. Oh, little kid, what have you done? This is all your fault.
What?
Oh no, they'll never forgive you. You caused all of this. They blame each other because of you. Oh.
Gods, what have I done?
Oh, my poor little kid. My poor kid. It's okay. You still have me. But you cannot return here. They'll never forgive you, little one. So you have to run. Yes, you have to run, little kid. Run for me. And the voice tugs at your mind with every word as blood splatters, as gunshots ring out, as people fall around you. You cannot see your mother. You cannot see your father. But the voice compels you. Run.
Vianne feels frozen in time. The chaos of the night, the screams, the gunshots. This can't be real. Maybe if she closes her eyes and goes to sleep, it won't be real in the morning.
Oh, no, little kid. It won't go away in the morning. You best not be having thoughts like that anymore. You just need to listen to me. And I am telling you to get up and run.
She feels the chill settle down her spine as this voice compels her. Voice, it read her mind. It knew her doubts. It knew her thoughts. She doesn't spare a moment. She can't think about her family anymore. The voice will know. It will follow her. There's no safe place for them inside her memories. She can't hold on to them anymore. She has to run. She has to run. And so she does.
Run. Off into the night, away from the world that she knew. Vianne, the foxkin, runs, and she never looks back. And that's where we'll end it for tonight.
That was so good. Oh.
That was really good.
I hope you enjoyed it. I had fun.
Oh my God. Bravo.
That was awesome.
I am simultaneously sorry I was cruel, but I'm also not sorry. I'm sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. That was excellent. God.
Yeah.
That was darker.
Yeah.
That was really good. That was really dark, man.
Yeah, I thought to myself, can we push this? And I tried. So I hope you liked it. I hope it was okay. And obviously you can always tell me, you can always interrupt and say, nope, not about this. We can skip this. And obviously we'll always do that. But I hope you enjoyed it. I wanted it to be very clear what exactly this type of force is inside of Vianne's head and how dangerous it is.
Yeah. Felt that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like warlock powers, like, yeah, obvi, like that's a given. What's not given is what it asks of you.
Yeah.
Which I hope was, they gave a good hint there.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really, really fantastic, man. The moment in which it was just a narration, it wasn't even done in character, and the voice picked up on that. I was like, oh, hi, fourth wall. It just bounced right through that. Here we go. It knows everything. Like, I felt that fear.
He knows everything.
Yeah.
Like Santa Claus.
Like that, he knows when you've been naughty.
God.
He's
And
bringing
he
coal
approves.
in a sock, and he's swinging it.
And he's swinging it at people.
Yeah.
Imagine Krampus, but warlock powers.
Horrifying.
That would
my
be great.
God.
I'll make a warlock character one day when I'm a PC. I'll be like, my patron is Krampus.
Terrifying.
He eats children.
Yeah.
Cool. I really loved seeing Vianne as a child get to be a child. I was really hoping we'd bring that out, and I'm really happy you did it. I loved Vianne as a child, and it says a lot about who she was.
Yeah. And who she inherited as well, too. Like, truly, just every single line that we got between baby Vianne and her mother, it was just like the perfect example of exactly what she wanted out of her life, out of what she could have had, you know, if it hadn't all gone sideways.
Yeah, her mother really did love her very much.
Yeah. We don't know what happened to her.
You don't know what happened to her or her father.
That was
Yeah.
way darker.
Yeah.
Where, they didn't have an innocent panic mistake of not following the fox paths. It was just, the neighbors murdering each other.
Yeah. I really wanted that. I really wanted that distrust of like,
I really wanted the neighbors murdering each other.
Can we soundbite that, please?
Sorry. I know how that sounds. Okay. I know how that sounds, but it's, hear me out. Here, let me cook. A lot of the inspirations for this world is based off of a lot of real world stuff that a lot of my family went through and has been repeated throughout history. Not repeated, because history never repeats itself. It just rhymes, right?
Sure.
So it's something that I know I've grown up hearing stories of, like, you live next to these people, you more or less befriend them, but that distrust, if you don't work on it, it never really goes away. And it only takes a small spark to whip people up into a frenzy, especially when they're in a group and you have sort of this like mass hysteria effect. Like, they rile each other up. It's a group mentality, and then it's us versus them. And, it's a powder keg, waiting to blow. So I was really hoping to go for that kind of feeling. And I don't know. What do you guys think?
Wow.
Yeah.
Insane. I got chills. First of all, Kaylee, just props to you. I got absolute chills when you recited, I don't want to quote it. I have it written down in the notes, but I don't want to quote it because it's so disgusting. So when you recited back what he said he wanted to do to you, to your father and uncle, like, my whole body, like, I'm not kidding, like, full chills. That was very well done.
Thank you.
I'm sorry I said that.
That was
sorry.
awful, man. Yeah.
I'm sorry I said
I really
that.
just wanted to see more of that, please. Like, it really was disgusting. We got to see some awful depravity from every side. And Mateo, not blameless in this situation, despite the fact that Vianne would have, ride or die for that kid.
There's definitely a moment where I was in my notes, it's just like, still don't hurt Mateo? Come on, man.
Come on.
Honestly, if you had been like, we had also cast Eldritch Blast at the kid, I'd be like, he dead as fuck. He's super dead.
And also, it's just like, do they just like weigh this kid all the time? Is that like a pastime?
Yeah. They know
I wanted to make it very clear that he's
still
like,
100 pounds, still 100 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like
Oh.
not beefy. And I was gonna be like, cool, Vianne rolls a 1 for damage. Cool, you break every bone in his body.
No.
Yeah.
I would have given you that. If you had done that, I would have been like, I guess he dies.
Little string bean. Yeah.
So showing
my
off his little
God.
chest, you know.
Showing
like,
off his little chest. Well, you see the
Doing
rib
that
cage,
hair thing.
the hair thing. You see his sternum.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a loser. But to your point, where
No,
people have preconceived notions of groups that they hold on to for years. I mean, Vianne's been nursing this crush for as long as she can remember. She's not going to give up on that, even though he broke her heart.
Sure.
Yeah,
You know,
shattered
like,
it.
Especially teenagers hold on to things.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
It
adults
imprints
do
forever.
too, but teenagers really. It was interesting that Mateo took on the local accent as opposed
Yeah, I
to
changed
you know.
it. I thought about it.
Yeah, but it was interesting. You know, like that's he's I don't know what it says about him. You know, like he's
So my
trying
rationale, and I wasn't ever going to have probably a moment to express this, but it would have felt out of place to explain it. But my rationale was he wants to get out of here.
Yeah. No, I was thinking
And-
this is the kid who wants to be in the in-group or the group that gives him the most access to things, it feels like.
Exactly.
Right.
And so he wanted to go to Port de Glace, and he's probably always wanted to get out of there. And he knows from, word from Vianne's father that, how they speak is not with a Savonan accent, like he was raised from childhood, and he worked to adopt the accent of Alizé. And, he tries to fully embody that as a little detail of like, he's going to get out one day. And when he does, he needs to sound exactly like these people.
Mm.
That's such gorgeous character building for a little twerp. I applaud you.
For a little shit.
I mean, I for one am glad he didn't get, blown apart by an Eldritch Blast, because maybe he'll show up again.
Maybe he gets stabbed by a certain character. Who knows?
If he shows up again, he's getting worse than Eldritch Blast, I tell you what.
It's like, what kind of life does a person like that make for themselves after something like this?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, do they like, did you?
It's one of two ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if those two?
I think more sick, or you absolutely repent.
Yeah.
You know?
Who knows? If only one of us in this group knew what was going to happen with him.
I mean, there's the third way of the sad sack, right? The kind of thing is like he wants to be a big deal, but he just doesn't have the wherewithal to be a big deal.
True.
You love to see a failure.
And failure, yeah.
He's going to fail hard if he ever crosses paths with Vianne. That's for sure.
I have a question, because I don't think this would ever come up after, but do you think in the years after this, how much has he crossed Vianne's mind in these years afterwards? And what is it now? Is it like, I imagine it's not a hot rage anymore, but what is it? I could be wrong, I guess.
Actually, we do have an answer for this very much because of what you have shown us about the patron. In the immediate years after Vianne runs away, she survives the wildlands by the skin on her teeth, like living in hollowed out trees and eating rats. And she fully dissociates for those first couple years on her own. Just every day is survival. And she is terrified that if she thinks real thoughts in the common language in her mind, that the patron will know. So she doesn't think about him at all.
Brutal.
Well,
Or about the family.
I did not intend to do that to your character, but I'm kind of glad I did. That's horrifying.
he's sick.
This guy is
I'm sorry I didn't think about how horrifying that would actually be to not be safe in your own thoughts. I am sorry, but also sick. Let's work with it.
Let's go. Because after they develop a connection, like a rapport. Like in her 20s, she starts to use this power to like get things that she wants.
Right.
And it starts off with violence. It starts off with simple, like, you have a meal and I want it. And so she uses that power. And the more she uses that power, the more that voice is like, all right, girl, let's go. And
I will absolutely say that in this time span when she was a young woman, the patron lives up to his side of the bargain. He does allow her the means, the opportunity on occasion to live very deliciously, to live a life of occasional high luxury that has probably been stolen or cajoled or whatever, right? She has had snippets of that.
Like, is she not living deliciously at first during the rat years? The rat
years.
That is, but that's just is that just her not embracing the pact?
Yeah.
And just running from it.
Yeah.
For a while.
And truly a terror of her own making, in which she believes that the whole thing was her fault, in which she believes that she can never go back, and in which she believes that this thing is going to punish her in unspeakable ways for anything that she thinks.
Yeah, and Kaylee, I want you to picture moving forward what happens to a person in their relationship with something that they absolutely have no privacy with, that they cannot hide from, that constantly talks them, honestly probably gaslights them 1000% of the time into manipulating them to mold them exactly the way they want them to be.
It's pretty. It's little Ingrid Bergman.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Vianne has a will of her own, right? But Kaylee, I want you to keep in mind that she has defied him on occasion. Like throughout her young life, she will have defied him before, and it doesn't always result in like a punishment. So she can push. I want her to have learned that she can push on occasion.
Yeah. But she's also learned that if she says yes and does what it wants, she gets everything that she wanted.
Yep. Cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Had a blast. Bravo. Kenny, the performance was great too. Like truly.
Delicious.
Awesome.
Delicious. Yes. That will be the the overlying motto for the patron is delicious.
Gross. I mean, it's like I've read ick about the rapey slave takers, but also but I was like, and patron is also ick. So just ick to the right, ick to the left,
all around.
Ick all around.
But also opportunity for joy too.
There will be. Promise there will be. Amazing. Thank you, my lovely cast.
Cattail Mike.
And
just get
oh my gosh. Okay, before my cat knocks into my microphone.
The cat's like, but this needs more of my butt. That's
before my cat's butt knocks my mic over. Thank you to all the listeners. Really appreciate it. And thank you for being with us. And we hope you're excited for more. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.